Hello and welcome to the UnderHive. Today we're going to be taking a look at the future plans update from the devs of Bannerlord. This is my first look at it as well. It was posted yesterday, but I haven't seen it up until now, so this is all fresh to me as well. So I'm just going to be giving my thoughts on these changes, or at least prospective changes. If you've got any thoughts as well, please do leave me a comment and I'll certainly read that and get back to you. So greetings, Warriors of Calradia. With the recent release of 1.6.0 and well over 100 game updates under our belt since the start of early access, we figured it's about time to discuss some of the progress we've made since our previous blog back in April, before turning our attention to some future plans for the game. Oh, and fair warning, this is a bit of a big one, so you might want to grab yourself a drink and make yourself comfortable before reading on. Sieges keep improving. Over the past few months, dozens of new scenes, items, animations, icons, artwork, and sounds have been added to the game, greatly expanding the options and experiences available to you while journeying through Calradia. Additionally, several new features and systems were introduced, presenting you with fresh challenges while giving you greater control over key aspects of the game. Some additions could be considered to be a bit more substantial, such as crafting orders. I haven't given that a go myself because I find the smithing to be a bit meh. Having to wait in the towns just doesn't appeal to me. I would prefer it if it passed time, so if you've got troops, you're paying wages, rather than, or like if there's a war going on or the town you're in could get siege. I would just prefer it if time went on by however many hours for every item you created, rather than you having to rest in between, personally. But I don't mind that that's the mechanic they've gone with. I just, if I'm going for a smithing character, I just mod it so you can smith as much as you want. But as a result, I haven't tested the crafting orders. I do think that's a great thing to introduce. Certainly gives a smithing player a course to take, rather than just I'll make weapons and sell them to the marketplace, which provides more purpose and meaning to the extensive weapon crafting system by allowing you to explore a new career path within the sandbox. Keep battles, which expand sieges with the addition of cinematic battles in the heart of the besieged castle, party and kingdom war stances, which allow you to assign orders to subordinate parties to dictate their approach towards hostiles, and duel, a new multiplayer mode. Doesn't really appeal to me. I don't play multiplayer. Meanwhile, other impactful but perhaps a bit more subtle additions were made, including unique rewards when joining a kingdom for the first time. So, you say unique on that. I've only ever had two-handed swords. I would like to see the Valandians give a spear or crossbow. I would like to see the Botanians give a two-handed sword or bow. I would like to see the Sturgians give probably one-handed weapon or shield or spear or bow, because they're a bit more flexible, or throwing weapons. I would like to see the Kurds maybe get a horse or a strong bow. The Aserai could have pretty much anything. The Aserai use pretty much every weapon for across all their units. And the Empire, I think maybe either armor or, again, they use a wide variety of weapons. But I've only seen two-handed weapons so far. It's nice that they've introduced those. Maybe they will expand it. But right now, they don't feel unique. They're essentially a good two-handed weapon. That's it. You do get some troops as well, which is nice. I like that. But I do think a piece of armor for you to stand out as a lord would be nicer. I appreciate that's perhaps a bit of a balance thing, but just giving you one of their lordly helmets, I don't think changes too much. If that's the only piece of armor you've got, you can still be one-shot by cavalry with a lance hitting you in the chest. So just a nice helmet would be nice as an option. Not necessarily guaranteed, but just from the pool, I would be quite happy to see that. So when joining the king for a first time. Ransom offers for prisoners. Yeah, that's good. I like that. Revised cultural bonuses. Yeah, I like what they changed about those. More difficulty options. I don't think they changed too much about that other than having presets. Including an Iron Man mode, which restricts the player to a single save file. I mean, I limit myself to permadeath, so that kind of makes no odds to me anyway. New quests, the ability to abdicate the throne. Fair enough. As far as it goes, I've never created my own kingdom. I prefer to play permadeath, so the odds of... I mean, the current character we're on has gotten the furthest, but the odds that we'd get to the point where we can create our own kingdom and don't just immediately get sieged by an army of 1,000 is quite unlikely. But I think it's good that you have the option to abdicate the throne. There is quality of life and UI updates. Yeah, the icons on the villages are really nice now for quests and for their production. Things like that make it a lot easier. Accessing the Yolderman or the gang leaders just from the map screen is loads nicer as well if you want to. Of course, you can go into the town if you want to role play it a bit more. Overhaul to Kingdom Wars tab to introduce an event log. Okay, that's, yeah. Encyclopedia and party screen tweaks. AI combat improvements. Now, it's not fair to say there haven't been any improvements. There definitely have, but they really need to look at the siege ladders because the attacking army is at such a disadvantage because, well, not necessarily in simulations. In simulations, so if you're not involved in the fight, it seems to work fine because it doesn't actually involve them climbing the ladders. It's just an algorithm. But when you're in the fight, the fact that the majority of your troops will not get up the ladder is a bit annoying because either the ladders you raise if you don't bring any siege equipment, they struggle, and if you bring a siege tower, so you've spent the time waiting for a siege tower to be built, meaning the defending settlement have at least a ballista or two, if not a catapult, you're really going to pay for the fact that you don't utilise the siege tower very well, and they've got siege weapons to levy against you. So that's the major thing that I want to see in combat improvements for the AI. Settlement production icons, the ability to pick and choose specific troops for custom battles. Okay, that's fair enough. So there's the orders screen, so you can do that. So let's have a look. So they want a throwing axe, and they'll give us some money for it. Okay, so you have to meet specific standards for that. Pretty good. I mean, I've never seen anybody use a two-handed mace, so not sure why they're requesting that, but okay. Of course, none of this will be news for you if you've been following the development of the game from patch notes or development updates. So let's move on to discuss our plans moving forward. Gamescom. Usually around this time of year, we'd be sharing our plans for Gamescom with you. However, with the ongoing pandemic, meeting you in person in Cologne this year will be all but impossible. We've decided to forego participating in Gamescom-related activities this time around, including the online event. Instead, we feel that our time would be best spent keeping our heads down, focusing entirely on the development, without any additional distractions. Returning to the studio. Most of our employees, now having received their second vaccine shot, have started to make plans for a phased return to the studio. Naturally, the health and well-being of our team is of utmost importance, and we'll be taking safety measures. This combined with many new faces that have joined the team, make it a bit trickier. Just want to assure you that just as at the start of the pandemic, we're well prepared for the transition and we'll continue on the game unabated. So this is a multiplayer screen. Don't often, well, in fact, I've never played Bannerlord multiplayer. Switching topic back to the game. In the short to medium term, we intend to focus on the following priorities for single player. However, please be aware, this is not an exhaustive list and you should expect a few additional surprises in addition to the planned features. Battle Terrain System. The Battle Terrain System was initially announced in Development Update 7, and this was great to see the positive feedback that it received. The feature will provide more strategic and unique experience for each and every battle by associating specific scenes with campaign map regions rather than terrain types. We also take into account party positioning and orientation within the region to influence the initial battle setup. Since the announcement, we've continued to work on our system and have notably increased the pool of field battle scenes to better support it. I have noticed there are more field battles to choose, to end up in, and you are orientated differently. It's not always in line exactly with what's happened on the campaign map, but it's not a problem. However, due to the sheer scale of this feature and the amount of work required, you can expect to see updates to this through the addition of new scenes long after it's made available to you. So, I mean, I'm guessing they've not fully introduced it in the sort of active non-beta build, but there's definitely been some improvements along the way. Granting of peerage to your companions. While adventuring in Calradia, it's almost guaranteed that you'll pick up a companion or two to accompany you on your journey. These companions can fight alongside you in battle, or assist you with crafting, questing, or governing your fiefs. They may also be assigned to lead caravans or clan parties to earn you additional coin or influence. As your campaign progresses and the bonds between you and your followers develop, we feel that it's only appropriate you should be able to reward them for their loyalty and service by elevating them to the ranks of nobility, if you choose so, of course. Order of battle. So essentially, we can upgrade them from just an army that we pay for, to a noble with a fief of their own, which is fair enough. If I could right now, I would probably give Nogand one of my castles, because I don't bother defending them anyway, and just keep one of them and Sargo for myself. Order of battle. While the Mountain Blade series has always emphasised fighting alongside and commanding your troops from within the thick of battle, nothing speaks against the establishing some order before you before you clash with your enemies. So this is like a sort of Total War Warhammer setup. It's quite good. Yeah, I'm liking that. Just the Total War rather setup, but the one I've played the most is Total War Warhammer. This feature allows you to assign troops and heroes to formations, as well as give them orders and positioning to them during the deployment phase of both battles and sieges. Banner bearers. So this is something I've seen a lot of mods of, so I don't know if maybe they've taken inspiration from that. Alongside Order of Battle, we are working on Banner Bearers feature, which allows heroes to bring their banners to battle and have them carried by soldiers within their formation. Not only will this make battles more colourful and visually diverse, but it will also have gameplay effects for the soldiers marching under each banner. Okay. Party templates. Another means to increase the variety of encounters and make AI party leaders feel more distinct are party templates. Currently, party leaders pursue largely the same effective template through their recruitment and upgrading of troops. We will explore and implement a great number of templates that may be assigned to AI party leaders based on their cultural character traits. I mean, they're still going to recruit dudes, upgrade them, and use them to fight other parties, but yeah, maybe that means Derehurt will go for more Cav, more crossbowmen, perhaps. I don't think that's going to change as much as, for example, making the CJI better, but fair enough. Cutscenes. The sandbox simulation includes many significant life events, ranging from the death of a comrade to witnessing the birth of your child. Whether these are ill or good tidings, they are currently communicated quite abstractly. As such, we intend to give them more life and improve the overall immersion by introducing several cutscene notifications, similar to the existing execution animation. I was going to reference that, because that has been in there since the beginning, I think, and that is a cutscene. So, yeah, this is quite nice. Obviously, this is a funeral, so that's not nice, but it's cool that we can see it like that. That's very immersive for the role players. Looking a bit further ahead, we'll continue to make progress in many other key areas of the sandbox, with some of our long-term priorities being Sally Out missions. Sieges in Bannerlord are quite dramatic events when they climb ladders that can play out in a number of different ways, with one outcome being the defenders sallying out to break the siege. Currently, the game will initiate a standard field battle for these encounters, which is a little immersion breaking and isn't truly befitting of the event. In future, we want the Sally Out action to have its own dedicated mission that plays out on the relevant siege scene, making these unique events a bit more special. Fourth Yorlingus. Doesn't mean anything to me, but okay. Sounds like a rallying. Oh right, so it's like as in go forth, Yorlingus, but I don't know what that actually refers to. Maybe it's one of the units that I haven't come across now. It sounds kind of Batanian, if I'm honest, but I don't think it's one of their units. Scenes, as always, and as our recent patch notes can attest to, work continues on adding a variety of new scenes to the game. In addition to towns, our current focus is creating scenes for the battle terrain system. Naturally, you should also expect to see improvements and updates to the existing scenes as well, and some new ones and more specific scenes. I mean, that doesn't look too different from an existing Imperial town, but maybe it is updated. Claimant quests. The settings of Mountain Bay Bannerlord 2 is one of turmoil. With the Emperor murdered and the Calradic Empire heading towards civil war, it should come as no surprise that such times of change will provide opportunities to actors that would otherwise have stayed in the shadows. They may need just the right hero to help them press their claim. So that's something we saw in Warband. So you would have various people that say, right, I am the leader of the Kurjat Khanate. My father was the leader, I was banished, my uncle took power, and now they are the ruler, but I am a lawful claimant. So you can bring them into the party, you can support their claims, do a few other bits for them, and eventually look to overthrow the ruler of that kingdom, and essentially appoint somebody who is loyal to you, might be a bit of a stretch, but certainly has some loyalty to you, to again further your claims for the lawful rule of your own kingdom. Vocalization. Yep, you heard that right. A portion of the dialogues in Bannerlord will be voiced in English. This will be focused on areas that you are likely to experience often or in a meaningful way, such as greetings or conversations from the main storyline. Well, I don't do the main storyline a lot, but it would be nice if the Yoldermen and the gang leaders had a greeting. That would be quite nice. And if you need any voice actors, just saying tell words, I be willing to help you out. Other. Of course, we will also be maintaining, balancing, and improving all the existing single-player features. Yeah. This includes fixing AI bugs and improvements for sieges in particular. Okay, well, I'm glad they've referenced it there. As well as continuing effort to improve the performance across the board. I think they've done a great job of fixing the RAM leaks and stuff like that. I have changed rigs since I originally played Bannerlord, but and my new rig shouldn't have any issues whatsoever. But it hasn't, is the point. So I haven't really had any crashes or bugs since a few months ago. So I think they're doing a good job with that. This extends to polishing any of the new introduced content, such as War and Peace reasons, and balancing existing mechanics like birth and death rates, skill experience gains, armor effectiveness. It also covers the addition of smaller mechanics like AI death chance, in simulation battles. We've seen that. Well, we've seen that happen in an actual battle. He charged in, got killed, and actually died. An option to respec perks. I mean, I think if you're playing on easy, maybe, but I think if you play on Bannerlord difficulty, even if you make some custom adjustments to it, I think, I think if you're playing on the higher difficulties, you shouldn't be able to respec. Maybe you disagree with that, but I just think, like, you should have to stick to your guns. The ability to retire your active main character. Furthermore, we'll continue to expand such issues as quests, music and sound, animations, models, including crafting pieces, artwork, and so forth. Very good. Well, we'll take a look at the multiplayer. I'm going to gloss over it because I don't really play the multiplayer, but we'll touch on it in case you do. So moving to the multiplayer, our current priorities are in the short to medium term. However, just as with single, we will cover other things, essentially. Rank matchmaking. The matchmaking system allows you to play in a more competitive setting and be assigned ranks based on your performance. This system will be much stricter than the current match-finding system, pairing you with evenly matched opponents, one against another. Okay? Yeah, should have that. Progression system and skins. The progression system will reward you for simply playing the game. You'll be able to use your hard-earned points to unlock skins for your troops and sigils for your profile. Eventually, this will be expanded with further customization systems that will reward you in multiplayer engagements. So, like, yeah, that helmet isn't what's on the cataphracts in the Empire, but fair enough. That is an absolutely stacked player. Voice chat. A rudimentary version of voice chat was already introduced in Skirmish. However, we would be the first ones to admit that it was lacking. We intend to improve this over time, give you more options and control over the voice chat system, allowing you to communicate more easily. Cheer and shout systems. This should be in the base game, the single player as well. Definitely. Voice chat isn't for everyone. Certainly doesn't help when you're taunting your opponents. Thankfully, this is something we've already taken consideration with cheer and shout. Put this in the single player devs. Put it in for immersion. I know we're already shouting at the AI. I'd still like to have it, even if it's just cheer or shout. That'd be fine. Just give us that because it's in mods. if the modders are putting it in single player modes and people are downloading it, which they are, put it in the game. Make it yours, do it your way. But yeah, don't just do it for multiplayer. Meanwhile, Shouts will open up another method of communication to your team, through a variety of combined audio and text commands. Okay, yeah, fine. MVP, of course. It's all well and good discussing the ways we intend to improve teamwork and communication, but that doesn't mean there shouldn't be a healthy bit of competition in the team. With the introduction of the MVP system, so most valuable player, the best performing player in each round will receive an MVP award, which will be displayed for all to see and admire, giving you that bit of incentive to push. End of match screen. Similarly, the end of match screen works which will give you a more detailed summary of each game, including the awards for the players that achieved impressive feats during the match. Okay. Flag capture improvements. Flag capture system will be reworked to take away some of the emphasis from the flags. What? We've gone away. If capturing the flag is the point of that game mode, I don't think there's anything wrong with emphasizing it. But I've never played the multiplayer, so I don't know if that's always in every mode. So take away some of the emphasis from the flags. This will be achieved by having nearby enemies slow down the rate at which the flag can be captured, with the aim of promoting a more free and open fight around the flag without needing to constantly hug the flagpole. This change also aims to ensure that the rounds will no longer end while a fight is taking place under a flag, switching the focus from those moments from the flag to the combat. Okay. Alongside the more major updates outlined above, we'll work to continue improving all other aspects of multiplayer, overhaul the score calculation to better account for damage dealt and objectives achieved, and rework the entire scoreboard, the additional multiplayer projectile mangalets in the siege, as well as ballista aiming and performance improvements, new single life game mode, general gameplay improvements to each game mode, new badges to track your accomplishments, updates and changes to perks, and a host of new maps. Additionally, we'll continue to work with our community on the combat testing to refine combat and character class system. More details will be shared, okay. Finally, later down the line, we intend to share custom server files to allow you to host your own multiplayer game servers. That's pretty good. Both. So again, there'll be more than just listed here. Battle and ambient sound system. The battle ambient sound system will group and merge distant sounds and single sound events, reducing sound-related calculations by up to 70%. This means that even low-end machines should be able to hear distant roars and the clash of crowded battlefields without giving up on performance. Okay, fair enough. The system will allow us to sculpt more refined distant sounds in the future. Hooray, the end is in sight. To further improve sounds, we've also been working on transitioning to quad ambiences. Quad ambiences will provide a depth of directionality to our ambient beds without adversely impacting performance. This means you should be able to tell which way you are facing even when your eyes are closed. And as a pleasant side, as a peasant side, side effect, it will also mean that the ambient sounds will be much better in 5.1, 7.1 surround sound too. Language support. So it's going to be available in these languages: English, Turkish, Simplified Chinese, Brazilian Portuguese, German, French, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Polish, Russian, and Spanish. Very good. Additionally, with our partners, we've been working on not just direct translations, but also building systems that supports the game's dynamic text and our variable characters, objects, genders, and grammatical contexts. Modding support. Modding support continues to be a key priority for us. Many recent changes in response to direct feedback from the modding community. We intend to fully support modding through improvements and additions to our existing modding tools, alongside new, more detailed documentation and guides on the Bannerlord modding documentation website. We also confirm that Steam Workshop is planned. Very good. So you can't get all your mods on Steam Workshop, but for Warband there were a lot of good ones on there. So if you only like using Steam Workshop, that's good to know. So that's it, pretty much. So they're making it, they're going to continue to make it easier to mod. So it's quite a lot to get through, but it still leaves a couple of questions unanswered. Mainly, when will the game be fully released and on what platforms? Well, we want to be as upfront at this point by saying the early access will continue on into the next year, with the current estimate being the full release in Q2 2022. So virtually a year from now. We're fairly confident that we're able to hit that target. However, if we feel the game's not ready, we'll delay it. I mean, I don't think anybody can complain about that. The game's available in early access. If you want to play it, you can play it. If you don't, you don't. Easy as that. I know that there is generally a bit of animosity from areas of communities when games are delayed. You know, that people have got the heart set on it. And don't get me wrong, I'm very, very inclined to sort of live in a world where a certain thing is a fact, i.e., game's coming out on this day, so I can plan my schedule around that. I want to be playing it then. And if it doesn't, your whole schedule's thrown out the window. Sometimes people take time off work, things like that. The other side of the coin is you've got to consider, for players that aren't playing that game before it's released, and for reviewers that, again, perhaps don't play the game, maybe they're just sort of casually giving it a go to review it, it's very important that it's in good quality for those people, because for new players, they might simply never play it again if the features aren't all as good as they should be. And secondly, for reviewers, that could impact other people's decision to even try the game. So I'm fully behind that. Delay it till it's ready. To call Cyberpunk out for that, CD Projekt Red made the huge mistake releasing it before it was ready, years before it was ready, and they've got absolutely smashed in the pockets for that. So, although I don't expect Bannerlord would be in the same position if they released, because the game is for the most part playable, it's just not polished, and I can't fault them for wanting to get it fully polished before they release it to the full. You know, this is our arms laid bare. You can come and get me for the reviews. I think it's important that it is ready. As for platforms, we can confirm the game will be coming to consoles. However, we were unable to share any further details just yet. If you're interested in this game for consoles, firstly, it presumably is playable. I've never tried playing it on a controller, but it really is geared towards mouse and keyboard, in my opinion. I couldn't imagine playing this on a controller, and I play a controller for a lot of things. So, fair enough, they want to bring it to console to broaden the market. If you've got the choice between the two, I would recommend PC, hands down. Not only for the controlling of it, but for the mods. I can't imagine the mods are going to be as widely available on game consoles, purely because game consoles have their firmware in place to stop people messing with the game code, stop you essentially hacking or cheating. It has got multiplayer elements, so I think it's going to be pretty hard to get a wide variety of mods available, if any, on console. Whereas for PC, you can get tons and tons and tons. I'm looking at a few at a moment that I want to do series on in the future, but they're not quite ready yet, so I'll come back to them when they are. Well, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed that more than just having to read through it yourself. If you have got any talking points regarding the information we discussed there, and you want to have your say, please do leave me a comment. I always take the time to read them, and I will get back to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time in the UnderHive.